Welcome to the graveyard shift of human morality. It's 3:15 a.m., and while you're tucked away in your temperature-controlled bedroom dreaming about a promotion or your next vacation, I'm sitting in a 2014 silver Honda Civic that smells like old upholstery and desperation. My dinner was a lukewarm slice of gas station pizza, and my blood is currently 60% espresso and 40% spite. This is the glamorous world of a private investigator specializing in domestic surveillance, or as I like to call it, being a professional voyeur for people who are about to lose half their assets. You see that window over there? Second floor, blue curtains? That's my target. Let's call him Jim. Jim told his wife he was at a regional sales conference in Omaha. In reality, Jim is currently 3 miles from his house inside a suburban Airbnb with someone who definitely isn't his wife, drinking a bottle of Chardonnay that costs more than my car's monthly insurance premium. My job isn't to judge Jim. My job is to document Jim's spectacular lapse in judgment with a Canon 7D and a 400mm lens that can see the regret on his face from across the street. People think being a PI is like a noir movie. They expect fedoras, jazz music, and mysterious dames in red dresses. Forget it. Real surveillance is 99% boredom and 1% pure, heart-pounding adrenaline that makes your hands shake so hard you can barely keep the camera steady. It's sitting in a parked car for 14 hours straight, trying to figure out if you can pee into a Gatorade bottle without splashing the upholstery. It's the art of becoming invisible in plain sight. If you look at me, you see a tired guy in a generic car scrolling on his phone. You don't see the GPS tracker I slapped under Jim's bumper while he was at the gym. You don't see the 3 different burner phones on my passenger seat. You don't see the soul-crushing realization that every single person I follow is a liar. That's the thing they don't tell you in the brochures. This job ruins your faith in humanity faster than a Twitter comment section. You start looking at happy couples in the park, and you don't see love. You see a potential client and a future target. You see the subtle way a husband hides his phone screen, the way a wife checks her reflection just a little too long before a girls' night out. You become a connoisseur of the micro-expression of guilt. And honestly, the pay is great, but the cost is your ability to trust anyone ever again. My eyes are burning, my back feels like it was put through a wood chipper, and I'm pretty sure my heart rate is being sustained entirely by a Monster energy drink I found in the glove box. But the light just flickered in that second-floor window. The shadow of 2 people just crossed a curtain. It's showtime. Time to earn that retainer.
So, you think you have what it takes to join the ranks of professionally paranoid? You want to be the shadow in the night, the ghost in the machine, the guy who gets paid to ruin Thanksgiving. Slow down, rookie. You don't just buy a trench coat and start following people. In most states, becoming a licensed private investigator is harder than getting a degree in communications, and significantly more annoying. We're talking about background checks that go back to your kindergarten vaccinations. We're talking about thousands of hours of documented experience under a licensed agency. It's a literal apprenticeship in the art of the stock. You start as a grunt. You get the jobs no one else wants. You're the guy sitting outside a warehouse in a Jersey City winter, waiting for a guy who's supposedly on workers' comp to come out and mow his lawn. You learn the art of the tail. The delicate dance of following a car through heavy traffic without being burned. Rule number 1, never be the car directly behind the target. Rule number 2, if they turn 3 times in the same direction, they know you're there, and you need to abort before you end up with a tire iron through your windshield. Then there's the legal minefield. This isn't the Wild West. If I tap a phone, I'm going to federal prison. If I break into a house to snap a photo of Jem and his intern, that's a felony, and the evidence is inadmissible in court anyway. My job is to stay in the gray area. I can follow you in public. I can watch you through your window if I'm standing on public property. I can use a drone if I'm feeling spicy and the local ordinances are vague enough. You spend hours in classrooms learning about the Fair Credit Reporting Act, privacy laws, and how to testify in a deposition without sounding like a sociopath. You learn about the gear. It's not just cameras. It's night vision that costs $5,000. It's thermal imaging. It's hidden body cams for when you have to walk into a bar and accidentally sit next to the target to record their conversation. But the most important tool isn't technical, it's psychological. You have to be a master of the pretext. If a neighbor walks up to my car and asks what I'm doing, I have to have a lie ready in 3 seconds. Oh, I'm a land surveyor, or I'm waiting for my daughter to finish her piano lesson. You have to believe your own lie so much that they feel stupid for asking. The failure rate for new PIs is astronomical. Most people quit in the first 6 months. They can't handle the isolation. They can't handle the fact that you might spend 3 weeks following a guy and find out he's actually just a boring person who goes to church and likes gardening. No money shot, no bonus, just a lot of wasted gas and a very angry client who wanted a reason to sue for alimony. To survive this, you need a specific kind of brain. A brain that thrives on patterns. A brain that doesn't mind the silence. And most importantly, a brain that is okay with the fact that at the end of the day, you are a professional destroyer of families. You are the reaper in a polo shirt. If that doesn't make you lose your lunch, then maybe, just maybe, you're a psycho enough to pull this off.
Let me tell you about the case that nearly broke me. It started with a woman named Sarah. Traditional, suburban, 3 kids, a golden retriever, and a husband named Mark, who was a high-flying executive in tech. She suspected he was cheating because he started wearing a new cologne and working late every Tuesday. Standard stuff. I figured it would be a quick catch and release. Week 1, nothing. Mark goes to the office, Mark goes to the gym, Mark goes home. He's the perfect husband. But my gut, the one that's been honed by years of stale coffee and bad omens, was screaming at me. On week 2, Tuesday night, Mark doesn't go to a hotel. He doesn't go to a bar. He drives 40 minutes out of the city to a tiny, dilapidated house in a neighborhood where the street lights are all shot out. He parks 3 blocks away and walks. I'm on foot now, keeping my distance, heart thumping against my ribs. I see him enter the house with a key. This isn't a one-night stand. This is a second life. I set up my long-range rig in the bushes of a vacant lot across the street. For 3 hours, I wait. My legs are cramping, and the mosquitoes are having a feast on my neck. Then the door opens. Mark comes out, but he's not alone. He's holding a toddler, a little boy, maybe 2 years old, and behind him is a woman. They look happy. They look like a family. My heart drops into my stomach. This isn't just an affair. This is a whole separate existence. Mark has a second family, 2 kids, a wife who thinks he's a traveling salesman, and a life built on a foundation of absolute radioactive lies. I'm snapping photos, each click of the shutter feeling like a gunshot. I see him kiss the woman goodbye, ruffle the kid's hair, and get back into his Audi to drive back to Sarah and his real life. I spent the next 3 days documenting the crossover. I tracked the second wife's social media. I found the birth certificate for the kid. Mark was the father on both. The level of deception was masterclass. When I called Sarah into my office to show her the files, I felt like a priest delivering a death sentence. I laid out the photos, the house, the kid, the kiss. The silence in that room was the loudest thing I've ever heard. She didn't cry. She just stared at the photos with a cold, hollow expression that haunts me to this day. She thanked me, paid the balance, and walked out. 2 weeks later, Mark was served with divorce papers in the middle of a board meeting. The fallout was nuclear. The second wife found out too. Both lives collapsed simultaneously. Mark lost his job, his houses, his reputation, and access to both sets of kids. He ended up in a studio apartment, broke and alone. Did I do the right thing? Legally, yes. Morally, that's the question that keeps me awake at 4 a.m. when the caffeine finally wears off and the silence of the night gets too heavy. I exposed the truth, I stopped the lie, but in doing so, I leveled 2 homes and traumatized 4 children who will never look at their father the same way again. That's the climax of the job. It's not the gotcha moment, it's the aftermath. is looking at the wreckage in the rearview mirror as you drive away to the next stakeout. Because there's always another Mark, there's always another Sarah, and as long as people keep lying, I'll be here, in the dark, with a camera and a cold cup of coffee, waiting for the next secret to rot from the inside out. Welcome to Code Black. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a GPS alert going off on a suburban mom who says she's at a book club. Spoiler alert, she's not.